from Florida. Ms. Wasserman Schultz is now recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Gun manufacturers didn't always market weapons of war to civilians, and until recently, trade shows didn't make military-style guns available to the general public. Now, gun makers aggressively market AR-15-style weapons to civilians and actively tie them to military and law enforcement weapons. Smith & Wesson, America's largest gun manufacturer, even developed a name for this marketing ploy, calling it the, quote, halo effect. Now, I want to draw your attention to the screen. Mr. Suplina, I want to ask you about one advertisement that I find troubling, this one. This is an ad for a Daniel Defense MK-18, a high-speed military-style AR similar to the Daniel Defense AR used at the Robb Elementary School shooting in Uvalde. The ad states, quote, use what they use, and that the gun features, quote, military-adopted technology. Mr. Suplina, do you believe the associations made in this advertisement are appropriate for a civilian?
No, but they're very effective at selling military-style weapons to the civilian population.
Reports on this gun indicate that it's favored by special forces. I would like to ask Daniel Defense why the same style guns being used in war zones should be marketed to everyday people. It is clear who gun makers are marketing to. Fred Guttenberg lost his 14-year-old daughter, Jamie, in the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School massacre in my own community. Fred filed an FTC complaint alleging that Smith & Wesson mimicked first-person shooter video games in its advertising materials to attract adolescents and young adults. Smith & Wesson's M&P 15 .223 caliber rifle was used in the Parkland massacre. Mr. Suplina, what level of culpability should gun manufacturers have when they market human killing machines to a civilian customer base?
Yeah. Again, this is now, unfortunately, increasingly the norm among gun manufacturers to market using, video game-style ads. Daniel Defense itself referenced popular video games in its advertising, in its advertisements, and they should be held accountable for this.
Thank you. Commissioner Grimaldi, I'd like to turn to you next. I want to put another advertisement on the screen. This is an advertisement for a Bushmaster XM15. Is that the same gun that was used in the mass shooting at the Top supermarket on May 14th?
Yes, it was.
This advertisement shows a soldier with a Bushmaster, and it states, quote, versatility on the range or during patrol. Your officers were actually on patrol that day, and many of them responded to the active shooter scene with far less advanced weaponry. How do you prepare officers to protect themselves and the public from military-grade killing machines every day? I know it was referenced that, it's no problem that they had, adequate weapons to be able to defend themselves. But is that the case?
Against this weapon, no. We have active shooter vests that we have in our patrol cars. You can't wear them on a regular basis. They're far too heavy. It's something that you would have to grab and put on if you have the time to do it.
Thank you. President Pringle, I want to turn to you. You've worked closely with teachers and students for years on combating gun violence. Without meaningful gun reform, students are forced to practice mass shooting drills. Just this week, and I know we stood together yesterday and you heard me talk about the high school students from my children's high school alma mater to mark the success of their fundraising drive to put Stop the Bleed kits in every classroom on that high school, in that high school campus. I mean, those are kits that are meant to triage a bleeding wound. Students now prep for the time that they have in school in the event that they are facing an active shooter and that they may bleed to death from gunshot wounds. What kind of traumatic effect does normalizing gun violence through these reactive measures have on students?
We have seen over the years an increase in anxiety, an increase in the number of students who are seeking additional assistance from our mental health professionals. We are seeing an increase in the amount of students who are coming to our schools with all kinds of social and emotional learning gaps because they have been subjected to overly aggressive drills and looking at social media and TV and seeing other students suffer and die at the hands of gun violence.
Marketing mass killing machines to a civilian customer base by using imagery and words that suggest that that's the purpose of their product is gross and immoral, but it's just what gun companies do now in order to profit from a market beyond their older male customer base. The Second Amendment does not absolve gun manufacturers of their responsibility to market their products responsibly, and children should not be doing fundraisers for Stop the Bleed kits instead of making sure that they can have a fun prom, doing car washes, having bake sales to make sure that their life on campus as students is improved, as opposed to their life on campus doesn't end and they have to use a Stop the Bleed kit that they've raised money for.
Yeah. The gentlelady's time has
Thank you.
expired.